So today I'm going to take a look at this article dating back to 2013. So, pardon me, it's a political article here, as we can see, and it's from a website called Left Foot Forward. So the headline says that Tory spin on coal masks the fact that 80% of coal jobs were lost under Thatcher. So that's Margaret Thatcher, who was a Conservative Prime Minister. It says, amid concerted efforts to reinvent the Thatcher years, an intriguing counterintuitive claim has been doing the rounds that rather than being the enemy of coal mining, Margaret Thatcher was actually kinder to the industry than previous governments. Well, I mean, if jobs were lost, I mean, means neither of those governments being compared were kind in a sense. Anyway, if we go on, the first paragraph here is just reiterating what was said at the top there. Says the inference seems to be that lingering animosity towards Mrs. Thatcher, particularly in former mining communities, is somehow unfair. And then it goes to quote the Daily Mail and Conservative Home. Now this is a point where you need to turn off your irony meter, because it says unsurprisingly both are being selective with the facts. Now the interesting thing I'll show here, that actually that this particular article has been selective with the facts. So it says historical data shows that 212,000 coal mining jobs were lost under the 1964-70 Labour government under Harold Wilson, but under Margaret Thatcher's between 79 and 90, the percentage decline in jobs was actually double that. And then it says 43% went under Wilson, while 80% of jobs went under Thatcher. Now this is a bait and switch, because they're talking about the absolute numbers of coal mining jobs that were lost under the Labour government that they're referring to. But then for the Conservatives under Thatcher, they actually don't mention the absolute number at all. They switch to percentage. Now this is just a pure artifact of the mass of this, because if 212,000 jobs were 43%, that means it was somewhere over 400,000 jobs to start with. We've also got to remember then that also between 1971 and 78 there was also jobs lost in the mining industry. I've looked at the government spreadsheet there, and I think it's around 50,000. So just by definition, even if the Conservatives had also reduced mining jobs by 212,000, the percentage will be different, because they're looking at a reduced total from the start. When it started at 1964, the comparison here. So it goes on to make some political points that unemployment was considerably higher in the 1980s, and therefore it'd be harder for miners to get jobs, which is all fair enough. So it kind of concludes here. So this attempt to rehabilitate Mrs. Thatcher's legacy is a revision of history too far, and many mining and communities continue to despise Mrs. Thatcher for entirely sound evidence-based reasons. So the question is, why did the person who wrote this article feel the need to switch between absolute number and percentage? It's clearly to make a political point, because the mass didn't support what he wanted to say. So it's always worth remembering, be very careful if somebody starts switching between absolute numbers and percentages, because they're probably trying to hide something. It's also worth noting actually some of the comments here. If you look, I'll give the URL in the description as usual. So even some people here complaining the way this guy has been switching between numbers. It's certainly disingenuous, and there's no need to do that. If you're making a political point, you could just have stopped with the fact that the jobs market was far worse for those laid off under Margaret Thatcher.